We want to make quality education available to all. Bush has threatened to veto Title I funding, which would harm thousands of struggling children. According to the Department of Education, more than 50,000 public schools across the country use Title I funds to provide additional academic support and learning opportunities to help low-achieving children master challenging curricula and meet with our state standards in core academic subjects. According to NEA, Title I funding falls some $12 billion short of that level authorized under No Child Left Behind, a level set specifically by Congress as necessary to serve eligible students. The House has proposed $14.36 billion for Title I, $435 million more than the President's budget, providing needed support for testing, assistance, and evaluation programs, which is necessary to ensure that our children receive a quality education. A veto would deny thousands of children the quality education that they deserve. Full Title I funding for U.S. schools is about $14.4 billion less than the a month and a half of Iraq war spending. The most vulnerable students, sadly, are children who really need our help and need that education. Sadly, Bush's veto would also penalize this most vulnerable, historically underfunded groups the most. Special education, school improvement, innovation, safe schools, Indian education, and English language acquisition programs, which would all suffer as a result of Bush's veto. Congress has proposed moderate funding increases that would be a real benefit to Pennsylvania. These increases are long overdue. Congress promised to pay 40% of the cost of educating students with disabilities when it enacted the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Now, the federal contribution only reaches 17.2% of the cost. The House bill increases IDA funding by $850 million over the President's budget, which would mean $30.3 million more for Pennsylvania or $105 more for each child with disabilities in Pennsylvania school. A veto of these critical funds would make it even more difficult for the more vulnerable children in Pennsylvania to have a chance to succeed. Higher education. A presidential veto would also do harm to the needed funding for higher education. The Higher Education Access Act, as passed by Congress, would increase the maximum Pell Grant to $5,100 next year and $5,400 by 2011. At a time when college costs continue to rise dramatically beyond inflation rates, the President has vowed to veto this bill too. It is both sad and astonishing that the President would rather fund an endless war and cut taxes for millionaires in education. As of June 2007, when the cost of war in Iraq has reached an astronomical $456 billion, 4.7 million students nationally could have received tuition fees for 4 years at a state university for the same amount of money. For Pennsylvania's share of the cost of the war in Iraq through 2007, 250,652 scholarships of university students could have been provided. Similarly, for Pennsylvania's share of the cost of the $56.5 billion in tax cut for the top percent of the year, 217,037 scholarships for the university students could have been provided. Thank you.